Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Siobhan Barnes, founder of the Neon Life Society. And I'm really excited to be mixing things up this week and bringing to you an interview with the inspiring Bonita Choi O'Neill. Bonita had a very successful corporate career in finance, and we'll dive into that a little bit later, and actually left to start her own business last year. And I wanted to get her on because I know so many women like you want to start a business, want to pursue that idea or that project, but just find it really hard to press go. And so I thought I'd get Bonita on today to share some of her lessons learned, her journey, and how she's got to where she is today. And just a quick side note, it's really funny. Bonita and I first met each other, I say met, we were on the phone a couple of years ago when she was in that corporate job, pregnant, not wanting to be in that job anymore, thinking about what to do next. And it was really awesome to hear from Bonita again this year to say, hey, I've started my business. I couldn't meet Bonita for one of her live events, but a couple of weeks ago at a gong bath, she was sitting literally mat to mat next to me and said, hey, Siobhan, and we had a conversation. And yeah, it was so great to meet Bonita in person and hear about her journey. And I just thought, have to get her on, have to share her story. So welcome, Bonita.
Thank you so much, Siobhan. You asked me to elaborate, but I think your introduction is perfect. I mean, I couldn't have had nicer words about myself than you. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So I know that you had a successful corporate career in finance, and in your last role, you were the head of sales and marketing for a $1 billion asset management company. So big stuff. I'd love for you to sort of start by introducing, like, why did you go into finance? What was the thought process around it? And then we can talk about the transition into what you're doing today, which is the juicy stuff.
Sure. So I've been in finance for about 13 years, and I almost kind of fell into it. My degree, I majored in religious studies and minored in economics. So I enjoyed the economics aspect, but then I also loved religious studies because I thought that gave me kind of a depth in terms of understanding the deeper questions, etc. Now that did, may have been reversely helpful in me finding a corporate job those early years. But I also wanted to, dive into journalism. So I started my internship at the SCMP and corporate communications at Morgan Stanley. And then one thing led to another, and it was more like, I think what was really important was, as a young person, to have good work ethics. And so, my bosses then introduced me to other people, and it was almost then more relationship based. So my old boss from Morgan Stanley then referred me to his wife, who ran an investor relations company. So then when I graduated, I then worked for her. And then my client, who I was covering, was leaving one of the very big asset management companies, hedge funds, to start his own private equity special situations fund, and then asked me to join. So it was very relationship based. And I think from each step I took, I then wanted to understand more. So from the journalism perspective, I then became interested in investor relations and transaction communications. And then from there, I wanted to understand equity research. What was the story behind it? What were the numbers behind it? And then I spent actually 2 years doing that on the trading floor selling hedge fund ideas. And then my team had then spun out to start their own hedge fund and asked me to join as investor relations again. So I actually really enjoy the sales aspect of it. I enjoy talking to people. And I think that I've had quite a bit of academic side of the equity analyst side now. So I was ready to kind of go back into the more client-facing role. So then I spent, for 7 years doing just sales and marketing and investor relations. And I think I had gotten in touch with you maybe 3 years ago.
Three now. My baby brain.
So
it could be 3 years.
Well, my son is turning 2 this coming week. So wow. I think when I was pregnant, I was just maybe 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was pregnant and not quite sure if that was what I wanted. And it was more of a pull and push factor at the time, more like I've done this for some time now. The economy was quite dry. The competition in terms of funds was a lot steeper. But also it had become slightly routine.
Right.
But the travel I had loved in my younger years, and I think then it really hit home when I traveled a lot last year with a little baby, and
not the same. Not as relaxing.
No, and also it was every single trip was a heartbreak. So because I was covering global markets, so I was going to the US and Europe, and it was great once I was on the road. I loved meeting investors. I loved talking about the fund story. It was almost the leaving and the trip home that was really difficult for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So as you talk about your career, like up until last year, we'll talk about like how you got into your company now in a minute, but it sounds like you had an idea you wanted to go into finance, but you kind of just followed the breadcrumbs, and sounds like you're a good people person. So people naturally wanted to work with you. So you followed your instincts and your intuition. Would that be fair to say?
I think that's definitely a big part of it. And I think the more experience you have, the better you get to know yourself. So you then, I think one of the sessions you did a while ago was really understanding your strengths. And I think I had gotten to know myself in a place where I knew what my strengths were. And actually that is really important in running your own business as well. And I'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Yeah.
But in terms of the breadcrumbs, you're right. I was trying to fill in the gaps in my youth of what I thought were my weaknesses. And when I felt that I had a good foundation, I was comfortable in pursuing the investor relations and sales and marketing path.
Beautiful. That's really, really awesome. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree. We've got to focus on our strengths and like focus on making the most of those, which I think is amazing. So you mentioned that last year when you were still working for your corporate job, you had to travel a lot. And then, yeah, that's when things got a bit more difficult. So what made you ultimately decide, okay, I'm stepping away from this corporate career? Because 13 years is not a short amount of time, right? A lot of women think that's a lot to walk away from. So what was your thought process about saying goodbye to that career and starting your business?
I think, well, so 2 years ago, a good friend and we sat down together, and I was pregnant, and she had a very successful career in financial services. And we're both quite into doing our nails, our hair, massages. And we thought, it was the time where the app booking industry was booming. There were a lot of fundraising, and we thought, okay, well, there's definitely a gap in the spa and wellness market. And it was more of a hobby on the side that we were doing, because we both had our full-time jobs and careers. And we kind of just chipped away at it every night or every weekend. And I was pregnant, so, there's not that much to do when you're pregnant, right?
Yeah.
I think, having her as my partner is a very important step. She was brave first,
right,
in the sense that she left her corporate career in August to then do our we incorporated the business in May last year,
right,
and it was almost like a little mini celebration. And because prior to that, it's almost not real, and I talked to a lot of friends, and it seems that many people actually have a side business.
Yeah.
But then they're not too focused on it, and it's still the daily struggles of corporate life. So when she took the plunge, and started doing it full time in October, that was a very, realistic question I then had to face. And it seemed that she was having a lot more fun than I was.
Yeah.
In our day-to-day comparatively. And I think, with my son as well, I was trying to juggle too many things. And also with a really, it wasn't like in your early 20s where you can kind of pop into work and then do something chilled and then, meet for friends at 6:30 for a glass of wine. It wasn't, I didn't have that luxury to maintain the momentum in my career without investing more.
Right.
So it was a push and pull, actually. So my husband's been great, and so I was chatting with him, and I think I finally came to a realization that time is actually the biggest equity of all.
Yeah.
So if I were having more fun doing our business, I think I've got to do it. And I came to that decision in January.
Okay, amazing.
And it was a tough decision. I just hired a great team back at my old place, but actually it was almost better because then I felt comfortable in leaving that team and going to my new path with my business partner.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, so many women I speak to do feel that sense of obligation, like wanting to leave, but then they feel bad. They're letting their employer down, and actually more than the employer, it's the team and the people they work with. So I think that's beautiful that you did the responsible thing and made sure that they were good and intact and you could leave knowing that you'd left them in a good place.
Yeah. So it was really, I mean, it was not easy. I've had many thoughts about it, and your team becomes almost like your family because you see them every day. And
yeah, you spend more time with them than you do your kids, right? And your husband. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the best decision, though, because even now flexibility with your own careers. More limiting in a corporate environment, whereas now me and my business partner, we really, and I think having her is fantastic because we worked through our strengths.
Perfect.
And they're very complementary to each other. And us both doing it full time since January, the business has evolve so much quicker than if we'd done it as a side business for the next 5 years.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, so many questions I want to ask, because I want to ask about business partnerships, because that's a big one. I know a lot of women have had bad experiences, so I want to hear what makes yours work. But for you then, when you're in that space, now that you've left corporate and you've made that leap and you've dealt with the fears that you were dealing with, what would you say to other women who are perhaps listening to this and they're on that precipice of like, I've got this idea, I don't know if I should quit or if I should pursue it? What would you say to them?
I think if you have a nagging FOMO feeling about other entrepreneurs, I think that's quite a clear sign.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was like every other entrepreneur I saw, I was like, well, they're having way more fun than I am. Something's not right.
Yeah.
If you're working for the pay, I think you have more options than that because the money will come.
Well, that's a big piece. A lot of women don't do it for the money. They get used to the lifestyle and the travel and all that kind of thing. So yeah, do you have any tips for how you kind of handle the money piece, whether it's like around the fears around money or like, tangibly, like with setting aside funds? Like what advice do you have around the money piece?
The money, that's obviously a big chunk to walk away from if you just think of it short term.
Yeah.
But I think there's many ways around it. So with the bonus and the salary in finance, it's very nice. But at the same time, I just came to realize that time was of essence. I have a small child and he was growing up before my eyes. And at the same time, I was almost too busy to spend the money that I was making. And I was tired on the weekends and I was almost trying to recuperate. And so it was almost the sacrifice. And now actually I don't spend too much. It's almost, I've managed to maintain a nice lifestyle still because we're quite flexible in that we can co-work together, and then we're quite independent, and we've got our own strengths that we work on. We've discussed that, me and her. So, there are days where I'm busy with the kids and I can kind of work from home.
Yeah.
So actually, I feel like my lifestyle has been better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's not about money. People get, I think, sometimes a bit confused and realize that it's not about the money. It is the freedom and the power of choice, right? To have that flexibility. And I think it's beautiful that you said, like, you've still got this beautiful lifestyle, even though you haven't, the finance paychecks. I mean, they could be pretty outrageous, right? But you come to realize what's really important and what the money is there to be spent on. And I think you touch on a good point. It's really about time with your family and like time to be present and to enjoy what you're doing, which is something my husband and I came to realize in the summer holidays as well. We're like, ultimately, the money's not about accumulating in the bank or whatever. It's literally just to buy freedom. So I think
absolutely. And also I find that the conversations I've been having this year, me and my partner, they're so much more interesting. So it's almost freed up our headspace to be creative. Obviously with starting a new business, we meet no's relatively frequently. But it's almost every no we receive, we're like, okay, well, how do we get to a yes?
Beautiful.
So I think her and I are both quite positive, but only because we've been there for each other when one of us were in, more of a struggle. So it's almost, it's a nice momentum and a pace that we've now set. And I think, back to your early point about the freedom, I think it's nice to wake up and to know that, oh, okay, it's Monday, we get to go to work today and do something that we enjoy and brainstorm. It's almost every day is okay. Well, obviously there are things to be done and things to kind of tasks, but it's almost every day is a brainstorm day as well. And I hope we keep that for as long as our company is continuing.
That's amazing. You guys really sound like you have the right mindset. Like, one of the things I always say to people is ask a better question and get a better answer. So I love how you say that you get no's, and it's not about like, oh, why am I getting a no? It's like, okay, what can we do differently next time? It's a very positive way of looking at it. So I think that's really, really important. So speaking of your business partner, it sounds like you guys are the perfect mix. You've done your compatible strengths and you've done it really like smart and intelligently. What are the secrets to a successful business partnership in your mind?
I don't know if we're there. I know that we're getting there. We're on the right path, I feel.
Yeah.
But I feel that first and foremost, her and I are really good friends. So there's a deep respect for each other. And secondly, we are very honest with each other. So the first few months was really, we've never worked together full on before. So we had some difficult conversations where we say, okay, well, actually, I don't think I'm very good at this, or I don't think you're very good at this. And I think I'm better at this. And this is a better use of your time. And they were maybe quite uncomfortable to face initially. But we've gone to the point now where we almost know each other and very well, and we know, okay, can you handle this? Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. And it's a nice synchrony in terms of responsibility and respect. Yeah. So for example, I just know, for example, if we tackle a new business together, there'll be items that she'll focus on, there'll be things that I focus on, and then it works. And we almost have a joke where we joke about where she always laughs. She's like, I don't like the things you do, and I don't like the things she does. So,
perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's actually perfect.
That is so perfect. And did you know that going into it when you both thought about starting a business? Did you have an inkling, or did it just work out?
I think honestly, there's always been the deep respect for each other, and
Mm.
we knew each other were, very serious people, and when it comes to work,
Yes.
as in we both have a good work ethic.
Mm.
But in terms of finding out our strengths, I think it was more subconscious, and then we actually had to dive in and be like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. I think that's super cool. And it's great that you can complement each other and, yeah, support each other. So on that point, then how have you worked together to really build momentum for Catch? I mean, maybe actually you can just actually in your own words, how would you describe the company that you started, and how did you come up with the various different streams that you have for the business?
Sure. So Catch is the business that we've built now today. And it's really, we have three pillars. Our ultimate goal is to fill in the gaps in the wellness and spa industry, starting in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And we've been creative, we hope, in the sense that we wanted to completely disrupt the spa industry. We wanted to bring in wellness to the people, accessible to everybody. And it's people in Hong Kong are too tired, too stressed, too busy to prioritize themselves. They're either putting in work first or kids first, or they're just too tired.
Yeah.
And at the same time, gyms and spas were closing very quickly. And it's the beauty of Hong Kong, where it's a small business environment, but at the same time, it's all competitive with one another.
Yeah.
So with our first pillar, it's called Catch, Pamper, and Playdate. It's basically for moms and dads, actually, who are generally, running 1,000 errands at one time. And we hope with Catch, Pamper, and Playdate, they can bring their kids. So there's a kids class. We organize that. And then also moms get a little pamper treatment, like a massage. We've been great in the sense that Golden Gate Wines were so generous, and they've sponsored the wine. So mama actually enjoy a bit of wine. Yeah. And they kind of network and talk to each other, and it's been really fun. So we were really lucky to be approached by Sassy Mamas.
Yes, I saw that. That's really exciting.
Yeah. So we're partnering with Sassy Mamas to bring Annabelle Carmel to Hong Kong.
I know, that's amazing. She's a big name. For those of you who aren't mothers, she's like the big name for like how to wean your child and like have them have a healthy like diet and just get that nutrition thing down pat. Very big and famous name. So that's so cool. I saw that in my inbox. I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting.
Yeah, so that's been really fun. And as a small business, we just thought, oh my goodness, it's so nice to be, working with these really reputable people in the business as well.
Yes.
So that'll be on the 30th of August. And the best part was it was completely oversubscribed within 24 hours.
That was so cool.
So there's definitely a market for it. And even with our play dates now, we're generally quite full each time. So we're happy that, we're able to kind of help the community, and there's a demand for it. And hopefully the spas can benefit from it as well. And also with the Catch, Pamper, and Playdate, it's almost one thing led to another, and we came across a lot of small organic pop-up brands that a lot of moms are doing, or entrepreneurs, and we wanted to showcase their products at our events. So, it's not the very big names, but it's really quite nice. Like we've had a wonderful brand we loved that was organic beauty and wellness products from Mongolia, and I have some cream for my son at home as well. And that's the stuff that we really want to showcase, and it's building the community.
That's huge. That's huge. Because we can also be very isolated here in Hong Kong too.
Exactly.
But it's isolating.
Yeah. So, and then with the second one, it's the spa happy hour. So initially with our app idea 2 years ago, we were, thinking, okay, well, spas are always empty between 2 to 6, and how do we solve for that? But then actually talking to the spas more and more, it seems that it's the personal contact that people are missing. It's been great with the Ubers and all the other, delivery food service, but people want, with wellness and spas, they want to be, talking to the person and they want to have that experience with hello, like the welcome is from the beginning. So so we actually worked out with quite a few spas that their low peak hours are from 2 to 6. So we're now in discussion with quite a few spas where we've now built up a group of community where people are flexible in those hours because our catch, pamper, and play date are typically around that time.
Right.
And so we can then work with the spas to provide exclusive tailor-made deals for these flexible moms, and they can enjoy it. And the spas can also fill in their low peak hours.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's a win-win for everybody. That's what we want.
Love it.
And, it could be entrepreneurs as well because they have more flexibility in their time.
Yeah.
And our third one is really more just, again, building on the community. We have a Facebook group where you rave and review spas around Hong Kong. And it really is, nobody really has a kind of a platform to kind of know where to go for a haircut. Or, if I know that you have brown hair, then maybe I'll go to the same hairdressers as you. Or I know if you have darker skin and you go to the tanning salon, maybe I'll go to the same one. So we wanted a common place that people can share their views on, their favorite spas or what could be improved. And that's kind of just building on the community.
That's amazing. Like throughout the 3 pillars, what I'm hearing is that I know you guys are a wellness and, education company, but it's really about community and bringing everyone together. And I love how you and Tina clearly used your mind to see where there's a gap in the market and, things are unfolding because you guys saw that gap and you've had that beautiful mindset of how can I make this work for everyone?
Thank you.
Amazing. I think it's really amazing what you've done. And for the audience listening, where I'm sitting, I'm hearing that mindset being really positive, surrounding yourself, the community, surrounding yourself with positive people is important, not just, for wellness, but for anything that you do, right? So Bonita has a great husband, has a great business partner, and it's important to build up those networks. And I'm sure through your catch and play, is that how you say it?
Catch, pamper, and play date.
Catch, pamper, and play date, where you're bringing together women who can, connect. And going back to your point about things not being about money, I think it's also meaningful connection. That's what we are all craving today, just to have, a genuine conversation and connect on a deeper level. So I really love what you're doing. I think it's super amazing.
Thank you.
Really, really amazing. So, as we wrap up, we didn't get to talk much about motherhood, but you did mention it all in there. Actually, I will ask one question on the motherhood piece. How do you think being a mother has made you a better business owner?
Well, I know there definitely, when I was back in corporate, I was very focused because I was focused to get in and get all my work done and then very focused to go home to see him. That might not work in a corporate environment so much. But I think that level of dedication and because I've made the choice to do this every day, I've made the choice to build our business and I've made the choice to take him to school. There's never any perfect medium, but I think with what motherhood has taught me is empathy and patience. And, I'm able to see a lot more perspectives now and, always see the good in people or attempt to, because I think being a mother, you kind of just have to, it breaks you completely. It just, you have to be calm. You just have to be calm.
Yeah.
So I think that's actually made me a better person, hopefully. And in turn, that's kind of had more meaningful interactions in business as well.
That's beautiful. I completely agree. I think a lot of us can think being a mom can detract from the career and the business, but it actually helps make you a whole person. So I love what you've shared there.
Thank you.
So for the audience, if you had to leave them with one challenge or one thing to think about so that they can go and pursue that dream, whether that's to start a business or switch careers or write a book or whatever it is, what would that be?
When you asked me that at the beginning, I was wondering, and actually I've come to realize, I think if you're still inkling of deciding whether or not, have a lot of conversations with people you respect and trust. I think a lot of the times we isolate ourselves, and the day in and day out, it becomes so easy. You know, you can go into work, come back to work, and then just kind of talk about things that are not as difficult topics. And I think if you really are wanting to make a switch, or if you're not sure, have as many conversations as you can, but also trust yourself. I think trusting yourself takes some time to build, because when you have so many conversations, there might be different opinions. But what I found was you then learn more about yourself, because you see how you can react to those conversations. And I think give yourself some time. There's no need to kind of leap in and then, you know, have these amazingly crazy goals to achieve. I think, you know, who doesn't want to start a business and then fundraise X billion dollars and then have it, you know, 100 people on the team. I think it's the challenge is finding comfort in starting small and growing. Yeah.
And I think you did that, right? Like, you had the idea 2 years ago, and then you guys tested, and then, you know, your partner went first, and you kind of took it slow. So I think that's really great advice. And obviously you spoke to lots of people too. So that's really cool.
Thank you. Thanks, Siobhan.
Oh, it's awesome. You've done fantastic. So
I think one of the people I spoke with was you. And so thank you very much as well for the motivation.
My pleasure. Well, before we wrap then, where can people come and find you? For those of the audience in Hong Kong, please share your website, your social media, because I'd love to send some people your way.
Yeah, definitely. So our website is www.catchapp.com.hk. We're on Instagram and Facebook. So our Instagram is Catch, Pamper, and Playdate. So you can follow us there. There's lots of fun pictures and updates, and we do fun giveaways as well. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you and join our community.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and leave a comment for me below. Like, what has been your number one takeaway from this interview? Thanks so much, Bonita.
Thank you, Siobhan. Thanks for having me. Bye.